Yeah, it's breaking already, Jillian. It's breaking already. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get in because it just turned 12. How you doing, Jillian?
All right, how are you?
We have had wrestling every day
I
since
saw your story. I was like, oh no.
and I actually realized I tallied wrong because we started on Thursday, not on
Oh,
Friday. Um, and I tallied wrong again because I said that we were done today, and we're not. We're done Wednesday.
oh my gosh.
So Thursday to Wednesday, we will have had wrestling of some sort every single day.
It's a whole week.
It's fine, guys. It's really fine. We're doing great things. Hi, Camille. Welcome.
The
Welcome.
season will be over soon in like
Yeah.
April.
Well,
The
and like we
face, the
started
face.
late. We started late. Cole only has 4 practices under his belt and now 2 tournaments. And he's already got his first win now, so he's tickled pink. But he
No.
already had a fire under him before this. Okay, he was like, "I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna be good like Braden, who's my significant other." So Braden, I always feel like such an ass saying this, but Braden was a 5-time Texas state champion. He lost 10 matches his entire career through junior high and high school. That was it. 10 matches.
Wow.
He wrestled for Ohio State until he broke his back. Um like he was moving up the food chain. Like Braden, I don't say this lightly, but Braden really could have like went to the USA and Olympic teams. Um he was
That's
ranked
amazing.
when he got into college, he was number 6 in the nation.
That's amazing.
So Cole thinks he's Braden. Okay.
Oh,
But
I
I'm
love it.
like, buddy, you gotta understand. Braden's the anomaly. Okay. Like, but Braden has a cool story in the fact Braden started late for wrestling. So he started at 7, and some of these kids start at 3, but 5, kindergarten's usually the average age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I also did not know this was this serious of a thing. Okay. I did not know. Um, But so he started late and he was 7, 8 years old and went in and got his ass kicked 2 tournaments in a row and quit
Aw.
and quit. And then,
Oh.
like, something kept telling him to go back, and he went back and turned into what he was. And so, like, that's a fun story for me to be able to tell Cole when he's discouraged. I'm like, well, Braden, quite literally, like, Braden's mom will tell you it was one of the most embarrassing things she ever experienced, not because he lost, but like how he lost. It was not a
Oh.
good time. So, you know, it may sound off topic, but these wrestling stories actually tie into our training today. Um, because a lot of you have been talking about like the lack of confidence, the mindset, the like, I can't get started because I'm in paralysis kind of deal, or like, I've got this plan, I know what I need to do, but like to actually do it is giving me the anxieties. And so we are going to talk about that today. We're going to get vulnerable. We're going to hear a bit about my story cuz it's interesting and a lot of up and down and all over the place. I, unlike Braden, did not only lose 10 matches in my time as a travel agent, okay, but lost many, many more than that. Uh, and learned a lot of things. So I
Yeah.
wanted to really dive into this and get started with this for you. But before we even get started, I want to say that this is very much an evolution kind of thing. You're not going to wake up and like magically be able to shift into this. And so I want you to hear what I'm saying, and I want you to participate when we're doing this. And like, we're going to grow from there. And it's something that, like, as we work in the mastermind, we hope we're nurturing you enough that you gain the confidence to explore this and do more of it. So let's get rolling, guys. Hold on. I've got to go. I have to link myself the Zoom every time we get on Zoom. So that's why that was up there. So, your voice and building your confidence online as a travel advisor. You do not magically wake up one day completely confident in what you're doing. It just doesn't happen, kids. Even those of us who have confidence going in and like feel comfortable with a camera or like making posts still aren't like magically good at it at the beginning. So even if you're like comfortable doing it, that doesn't mean that like you're good at it and you don't have any growth to do. The mentors of this mastermind and our guests have spent years. And hold on, Jen needs the link. Sorry, guys. But we have spent quite literally years across this industry and multiple other industries, which I know a lot of you relate to. You didn't all start in travel. And that's what built our confidence and our craftsmanship and like how we are able now to handle that. I just full screened you guys. Hold on. Go back to my screen. There we go. Thanks, guys. We're doing great things. So, most of you are what we call the discovery phase, which is exciting and exactly where growth happens. So, I say most of you are in the discovery phase because most of us are in a shift within our business. Some of us have been in social media and influencer marketing, and we've done sales before, but this is different. This is like combining a bunch of different jobs into one big job and needing to do all of them with confidence and well. And that can be incredibly overwhelming. So, when we say that you're in the discovery phase, it doesn't matter if you've been an agent for 6 months or 7 years. You joined this mastermind. There's obviously shortcomings in your business that you're trying to learn how to fix, or things that you need help with, or confidence you need to grow. And that's exactly why we're here in this discovery phase. But remember, there is evolution, friends. Let me send this link directly to Jen because it's not working for her there. With there being evolution, as you work through your travel business, there are going to be situations where, like, you're forced to grow again. You think you know what you're doing, and all at once, a provider, a client, a co-worker, not that you have co-workers, but like, what's that called? A peer of some sort, like, shows you something and it upsets your life, and that will dump you back into the discovery phase. So you're going to have multiple discovery phases throughout your entire business. And this is where like having multiple mentors in this mastermind comes in. There's no one size to success. In this training, you're going to hear me compare the different leaders of this mastermind and how we do things, because we just had a really great talk actually again about it today, like how different each of our businesses are and how like individually, they're successful, but if you put us next to each other, they look nothing alike. So there is no right or wrong to this. I want you to take into consideration what is important to you and set your boundaries and goals from there. So, our goal today is to shift into a more confident version of you. Um, Even if the confidence only comes from knowing that we all are struggling with this at the end of the day, I want you to know that by the end of this. I skipped it. So, we're going to talk a little bit about my story. I'm going to bring you all back up so I can see your faces for a second. So, for those of you that don't know, I started my travel business in 2020. Before I started my travel business, I worked as a retail sales manager for a children's clothing company. And then I also worked in retail banking in loan officing. Um, if you can imagine, neither of those things were my favorite thing. So, I learned a lot from those experiences. I was in retail from the time I was 15 until I had my first child. And then I stopped working because my ex-husband was the sole provider for us, and he was military, and we were moving, and like it just didn't make sense. And so the travel agent door opened to me through Smart Moms. I got an email that was like, I'm looking for agents. I had no idea what I was doing. I applied on a whim. I, of course, got accepted because everybody was accepted then. Um, I looked at my ex husband and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could earn an extra car payment a month for us? So our goal was for me to earn $350 because that's what our little Toyota Corolla's payment was. $350 a month. And that was like a pipe dream to me. It was a wouldn't it be cool? I never would have guessed I would support myself alone off of my travel business. Like, that was not a fathomable thought to me. Um, and now I've done it for several years. And so, like, you guys look at this and you see like success, but you don't see that, like, even I in the beginning was not on the path that I was going to do this full time and this was going to be my life. Like, it was not even a thought. And so I started right after I had Cole. I was in the thick of our autism journey, getting diagnosis, having, hours of therapy a day. My son, 3 months after I started, was in a very serious lawnmower accident, my older son. So he had ran off of my grandparents' front porch and slipped as my dad was pulling into the garage to turn off the lawnmower, and he slipped and slid underneath it. And so most kids at 3 years old, if you do not know the statistic, die or are amputees. And my son, luckily, is neither, but we did spend 2 full weeks in Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. And honestly, I would not have made it through that time period had I not been working with a very small group of smart moms on starting the Military Smart Moms Facebook group. And that was like my first experience of how much you need the community as much in your personal life as you do in your business life. Um, and so from there, Miles at this age has fully recovered, has all of his limbs. He has a pretty good scar up his leg in the shape of a horseshoe. Just so everybody knows, that story has a fine ending because it is a little traumatic. So I like couldn't work as much as I wanted to during that time, nor mentally was I in the capacity to be able to work. And they encouraged me. They, showed me it was fine. I was able to use their resources to keep posting and things, and like it all worked out in the end. But this comes to tell you that there are going to be periods in your personal life where you just cannot give this 110%. Okay. And so if you're one of those people who's working 7 jobs right now and like overwhelmed with everything, we're going to help you and get you the tools you need to be successful and help you learn how to put them into play. So Jen had a great idea this morning. We're going to start like putting into motion that is like really working with you guys on how to effectively batch content, how to make like those short 12-second Instagram, TikTok videos, like really putting it out there to give you that leg up of, if you know what you're doing, you're going to move a little faster. So if you've only got the margins of your life to do this in, we're going to help you get through that. So in my time as a smart mom, I was an anomaly in a way. So I came in, and 2 weeks later, the world shut down for COVID. So I had that time to build resources with those military girls. I like learned everything there was to learn about, the growth of Facebook. TikTok was like becoming real popular. Do you remember like the COVID TikTok? There was nothing else to do. So everybody was going to TikTok. Okay. That's how that era started for me. It started with watching. I was like, I'm never going to be one of those people. And then the soundtrack from Brother Bear started trending, the tell everybody I'm on my way. And actually my ex-husband's who had the idea, he was like, you should do a like when Disney reopens version of this. So I literally strapped my infant child to me in a baby carrier, put on a Phantasmic Mickey hat, had one of my popcorn buckets strapped around us, and like strutted down my galley kitchen, mouthing the words to this song, slapped the caption on it that, me when Disney reopens, or me, I think it was me waiting for Disney to reopen. And it took off. And so for your first video to take off is not actually a good thing, friends, because I had no idea what I was freaking doing. Okay. I was like, oh crap. Now they're expecting me to be funny and like to do this. And like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. And so I had to learn through a pattern of trial and error what worked for the audience that I initially connected with, who, guess what, at this point is not the audience I connect with now. Okay. And so I went from that. June came and we were able to book Disney again. And because I had been pushing for months without being able to book, I came out the gate at like a $45,000 month or $50,000 month. And that was unheard of. And that was because of how it was set up. It was not me actually on my first month getting all those bookings. It looks that way because that was the first month I could actually book. But I had pushed for 4 months to start gaining clientele, to start connecting with people, and to start learning my brand. So it took me 4 months to get that business. But if you look at it from a paper standpoint, from an outside perspective, I was successful from the very beginning because like that's a number of success based on what we were trained. And so I just want to give a word of warning that I had no idea what I was doing. And I was not successful at that point. Like it was sheer luck. And for a lot of us, when we're starting out, when you don't have guidance of something like the mastermind, you figure it out by sheer luck. And that takes time. And so you guys already have like a little bit of a leg up and a standing ground because you have me and you have Jen and you have SJ and you have Ryan, and we're all here because we want you to succeed and because we have very, very different experiences with where we're coming from. So, me coming from the mostly retail, SJ was always strictly in sales. Jen was in sales, manages another business with her husband. Like, Ryan has worked every kind of administrative job that I have ever heard of. And she's also a dog trainer. That's a fun fact for you. Like certified dog trainer. So like she had to like find clientele for her dog training business. And so like we all have way outside of travel experience with what we're doing with travel now. And so our foundations come together really nicely. From there, I grew rapidly on TikTok. Once I figured out what was working, which were like the strong hooks, but the hook only draws them in, friends. It doesn't necessarily keep them there. You have to provide value after that, and we're going to discuss that more towards the end. But then I had to take a break. I took 6 months off because my child was diagnosed with autism and we were in a new area and figuring it out. My grandma had cancer. We were taking care of her. It was not feasible for me to keep doing anything at all. And so I stopped. And when I came back after 6 months, I had to do it all again. I had to rebuild my following. I had to re-engage the TikTok. I had to like figure out sales again because it was no longer last minute trips for Disney from people being starved from travel. It was now the people who were planning a year and a half in advance. I had never worked with that before. It was a complete new discovery phase for me. And not just because I took a break, but because the algorithms were different, the clients were different, like every aspect of it was different. And so I wanted to acknowledge those parts of my story specifically today to show you that like from the outside perspective someone may look successful, but a bunch of pillars had to line up for them to look that way. They had to put in the work to do it, and even if you lose it at one point you can get it back. And so that is very, very important to acknowledge moving forward. So we first got to start with reframing this all in mindset, y'all, because the fact is, all in for me is not the all in the same for Jillian. It's not the all in the same for Shakita. It's not the all in the same for Jessica. We all live very, very different lives. And so, like, it is important to realize your all in does not necessarily mean posting 6 times a day, every single day, and like feeling the need to do that. Your goal should be Monday through Friday, at least one post a day, consistently. Consistently is the key word. So, if you're struggling with 5 days a week posting, start with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because the algorithm's going to recognize you are present Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then you build stepping stone by stepping stone from that. All in also doesn't mean going outside of your comfort zone every single video. It means that you are trying, that you are learning, and you're doing what it takes to grow, aka pushing yourself out of the comfort zone a little bit at a time, practicing that consistency, upping that consistency, and moving through from there. So, confidence comes from the repetition. It doesn't come before posting. You're not going to wake up one day and decide, I'm great at this. We're going to do it. It's not how it works. It comes because you posted, and you don't discover your voice by thinking about it and doing a pop quiz and doing our branding course. It helps you in the beginning. It gives you those guidelines, but you have to actually put it into practice, see where you are connecting with people, and like go from there. So you discover it by trying different tones. We're going to do one of our comparisons right now. I am a very rambunctious, face to the camera, um, like ADHD popping off, like loud, bubbly in my videos creator. Like that's who I am. A little bit of sarcasm in there. Like I am very like out there. And that is not everyone's cup of tea, but it works with my following. If you look over at SJ, SJ has way more of like a moody aesthetic. Like she has the split dye hair. Our actual style is different. Like she does a lot of like pretty recording with voiceover. That's another thing Jen does beautifully. We're going to talk about that too. But we didn't get to where we're each at with our own voice and our own tone by like doing the same video over and over again that wasn't working. We had to push outside the comfort zone. We had to look at the data. So you want to discover yourself by trying the different tones. You know, if you can be blunt, try being blunt. One of the girls that I've worked with in the past has branded herself the honest travel agent, and she speaks in a very respectful way, but she will tear things apart that she does not like. And so I love that. Different topics. If people aren't connecting with you about cruises, maybe cruises aren't going to be your market, y'all. Like if you haven't been on a cruise and like you're having trouble selling cruises and stuff, wait till you try a cruise to like book more cruises. That also doesn't stand to mean that like you can't watch all the videos on an all inclusive on YouTube and come in sounding super confident and clear, because quite frankly, that's what I did with Disney. I had only been to Disney one true time, like on a trip before I became a travel agent. I learned everything from Disney Food Blog and Tim Tracker and Adam the Woo. And like, I did my research. So people genuinely thought I was that confident in it. I was not at that point. So I was a fake it till you make it brand. Um, you try different formats. So like I said, I'm face to video, face to camera. Jen is trying more face to camera and does voiceovers, but Jen also does some of the best B-roll. Like, genuinely love Jen's B-roll. SJ is in her videos, like walking in her videos, doing things in her videos, but she still uses voiceover. So they're connecting with SJ by seeing her, but also hearing her voice, but like not at the same time in the way they do with me. And then Ryan is all over the place. So she's trying to talk more in her videos. That's one of her goals for the year. She does B-roll videos. Ryan is a very informative and recap creator, so that's where she keeps most of her stuff and her time. Let me look at the chat here. Oh. Jen said, I come across angry face on camera. So we actually were just talking about this. Jen hid in the bathroom to record a video and was in there for super long because she couldn't get past her RBF. Jillian said, I'm also part of the RBF club. It's okay. See? Like, it's okay to be that. You even could like brand yourself as, don't let my face scare you. I'm actually a nice person. Okay.
I felt like the
Like,
angry travel agent, like,
yes, you guys had to have, if you were in TikTok in the COVID era, you have seen the angry reacts guy who like reacts to these wholesome videos sounding all angry. Okay. And has millions of followers now. Very successful kid from screaming angrily at a camera about how great people are doing. Like, you gotta find what fits for you. And so we love that. I love that you said that, Jen. And we each have different boundaries. We're going to talk more about that later, too. So, some questions I want you to ask yourselves after each video you record specifically, but also after your post. What about it felt natural to you? Like, did you feel good actually recording the B-roll? Did you talk face to camera? And once you got into the information part, like that's when it really clicked for you. Did you really click when you like got the hook out there, and then did you lose it after that? What drained you? So like, what part of creating drained you? Did you feel like you had to get up and pretty to record your video? Did you feel like you had to keep going back and re-recording a section because you didn't like how you said something? What excited you about your video? Where did you feel like, yeah, this could do it? And then what connected with people? So this is like a you come back to it kind of question. See what people were commenting. See if people saved it. See how many followers you gained from it. These are all things we talked about, the fact that like we don't actually know what a good amount of followers from a singular video is, because it is different based on all of our algorithms. So, like, Jen just had a video do really, really well. Jen, how many followers are you up to on that stinking video? The last time we looked, it was like, was it 46 or 26 or something? And Jen was like, with the amount of views, is that good? And we were like, I don't know, Jen. And she's like, me either. And we were like, this is something we got to run like a scatter plot on.
I started last night, so I did start grabbing some data on how to judge and the TikTok algorithm and all of that. So I will tell you, let me go and look at my data on that video. Now, this video was just me going into a Goodwill outside of Orlando, like outside of Disney World, taking B-roll, and I put a voiceover to it. I'm up to 28.3 thousand views in under 48 hours. And I have gotten 86 new followers.
So, like, to me, that sounds successful, y'all. Like, it does. Jen, do you also want to tell them about the comment section of that video real quick?
They were, I mean, like 5 cat fights. Like 5. And the worst thing I ever could have done was get into my feels about it, because there was a lady, she would not shut up, and she was like irritating Jen the person. And Jen the person should have stayed out of it and just let it roll, because I was like, basically, you're commenting to hear yourself speak. Who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do? And by the way, your repeated commenting is just feeding the algorithm, bringing me more viewers. Thank you. She deleted everything and she shut up. I should have just, Jen the person needs to stay out of her shit.
I feel like there's like a time and a place where like we all step in when we probably could have let it go. Okay,
just
like
let it ride.
You gotta let it roll. And we're gonna talk about the other 2 people in our mastermind have a different mindset on this than Jen and I do. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes when we're talking to you about
bait
you guys.
People a little bit. I may bait the controversy. I like a good controversial hook. It works for
me. But not everybody does. And this is where it comes from setting your own boundaries. There's nothing wrong with the controversial post, just as there's nothing wrong with staying away from it like it's the plague. It's about you as a person and like what you're willing to deal with and what you can handle, because social media is a jungle, guys, like a true jungle.
Jillian, that's really good.
Jillian, that is a phenomenal amount. Like, so good. Look at you already doing it. Putting her into play.
Repeat that. Repeat what you just did. Repeat it again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it wouldn't, like, I was just making it because I was bored, and it's just B-roll of me walking in Tomorrowland with, like, the, hey, here's this, like, opinion that I have. And it, like, basically centered around, like, bring the stroller with your kids no matter how old they are, because, like, they're gonna need it, and you can put all of their shit in it. And
that's controversial. And
yeah.
that is perfect.
Yeah.
People are like, your daughter is 6 years old. You still bring a stroller? And I'm like, yeah, and I will when she's 9.
Yep. Yep. And and I was going from, it was a conversation that I just had with clients who have like a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. And I was like, get the double stroller. Like, nobody's going to judge you. Like, just get it. Because they're going to want to bring bags in. They're going to want to bring toys in. They're going to want to bring all the things in. And you're going to get stuck carrying it. And now is not the time to learn if they can walk over 5 miles. So
Yep.
I just channeled it into that and it just kind of popped off. And I was just really excited.
I have to tell you that, like, I love having these specific discussions in my videos because people have very strong opinions about it. And my favorite opinions are from the people that have never been to Disney World. Okay. Like, I
Oh,
love to hear them be like, how dare your 7-year-old sit in that stroller? And I'm like, my 7-year-old quite literally competitively swims, regularly runs miles each day, the whole nine. It is completely different. It
yeah.
is a different beast. You don't
Feet, little
understand
legs.
until you understand.
I love those. That's gold in social media.
And
The
so it sounds kind of silly, but I would actually like you to create a Google Doc or a spreadsheet that you link your video in and you answer these questions underneath. And then when we come back and see what connected with people, whether it be if you're VIP plus in your one-on-one or when we do check-ins in the Facebook group, when we talk about what connected with people, then me and Jen and SJ and Ryan can look at your sheet and see the patterns in your video and like help you discover how to repeat those patterns. So since Jillian just told us what her video was about, we're going to talk about it. Like Jen said, we're going to repeat that. We're going to do another B-roll and we're going to do another like semi-controversial poke the bear. Okay. So, I mean, even as simple as like, if you're taking your kids to, I actually have a video that's like this, but it's not said like this. But if you're taking your kids to Disney after the age of 10 for the first time, like you're waiting till they're 10, you're stupid and you're costing yourself more money. Okay. Like that is the premise of the video because they cost more.
Yeah.
Okay. Like my 5-year-old remembers his first trip to Disneyland and he was 3. Okay. Like he still will tell you about that trip. Like the fact is, when you're making formative memories, they're going to remember. And even if they don't, you're going to have the pictures, you're going to have the videos, you're going to have the memories. It's about you, mom. Okay. Let's be real. You want to see the magic for your children. That's why you're taking them to Disney. That's the premise of Disney. Okay. It's to be magical. If you wait till they're out of that magic era, like that's sad because you missed a very fundamental like part. And that's not to say I think Disney's magical when I'm an adult. Okay. Like I look at it from like the theater and tech perspective and I'm like, the way they do things is incredible. Like it creates magic for me. But it's not going to be the same magic as seeing we were just rewatching these videos, seeing my 2.5-year-old Miles for the very first time on his very first trip run into Goofy's arms at a character spot that no longer exists in Epcot. Okay. Like it's one of those things that like people don't understand. So you need to see where the connection piece is coming in your content. Is it people butting heads with you and you're getting the follows from the people who agree? Like that is where sometimes we're like, well, why would I replicate a video that caused me a little bit of chaos? Because it's still going to land you with people who are like, oh yeah, Jillian knows what's up. She knows what she's talking about. We're going to follow her, even if they're not the ones fighting in the comments. Like, I have found that the people agree with me are more likely to follow and like engage that way than they are to get into it with the people in the comments. But then they'll like my comments in the comments where I'm like beaten back, you know? Jessica said Gwen still asks about our Disney cruise. She was 2, but frequently asks to go still, and she will be 3 soon. Yeah, like her 2-year-old is like, take me back to the big ship, Ma. Okay. You said, and get all the pennies before it was gone. Fact. Okay. Core memory. Fact. And like, the way things change, I'm like, the earlier you start with the kids, the longer you get to enjoy Disney because they change stuff so often. Like, that's the concept that people don't understand. And I recently have started having people compare their yearly beach trip. Okay. We yearly went to Cape May, New Jersey when I was a kid. And we factored in what we spent on gas. We had an RV, our campground, what we spent on food down there. And we like made a lot of our food because we were in a campground, our beach passes, what we spent at the boardwalk, everything. We factored in everything. And it was just as expensive, if not more expensive, than a Disney trip. And a lot of it didn't come on payment plans. Okay. And so this is where people need to be educated. There's a misconception there. So me educating them is what connected me with a lot of my clientele. And that doesn't mean because I'm educating them about payment plans that I'm not getting deluxe clients. Because even people with money like to know they have flexibility and options. Okay? Like, so even if you niche down to being like luxury Disney, that doesn't mean you can't talk about like, we can afford a higher dollar trip because we can take a little longer to pay on it. And maybe you're converting that moderate person to a deluxe person just by teaching them something they didn't know. That is why it sounds silly to write it down, because you're like, these are my inner thoughts. Like, I can think about this right after the video and like knock out those first 3 or 4. But you have to come back to the what connected with people part. And then you need to look at your answers to like the first 3 or 4 and be like, okay, so I was confident in my hook. That's where they connected. So like, let's keep doing that. Or I wasn't feeling great about this middle part, but they really connected there. So now your confidence is building a little bit. Write it down. Okay. It will change the game for you. So we're about to go against what everyone beats into your head, including me, but I want to say it. You don't have to become a face to camera creator to be completely successful. Okay. I feel like Jen's a prime example of this. Does she sometimes put her face to camera? Yes. Is that the bulk of her content? No. And that's okay. But has Jen challenged herself to do more? Mm-hmm. She
When
has.
I first started, I couldn't do voiceovers. I was terrified.
And so we had the conversation earlier with Jen that I still, if you see me post a voiceover video, that is me going outside of my comfort zone. So you may not understand this because I jump and I talk at the camera, but I am more comfortable doing that, watching it through once in like press and post, than I am recording my voice that I hate over and over again to get it right and to get the video up and like, oh my God, I sound stupid. Like, those are my inner thoughts when I'm doing that. So I just want you to know that you don't have to be that person to be successful. There are multiple ways to connect. So you can connect via the voiceover. You can connect more via your B-roll and photographs. So we talked about how SJ is in her B-roll that she's like not talking in, like she's walking away from the camera. She walked past, she holds up a drink, like they see her. So like they know it's her, like they connect with her. And engaging stories. The list like just goes and goes. It doesn't have to be 3 full minutes of you talking. That doesn't mean by me giving you permission not to be a face to camera creator that we shouldn't challenge ourselves and shouldn't be looking for where our connection piece is. So with connection, you have to stop like hiding yourself and who you are. And so by connecting in some way, whether it be being brutally honest, whether it being like a picture and posting a caption that's like, yeah, we look happy here, but here's how our day actually went, and like sharing the fails of the day and stuff. Jillian, you laugh, but I have seen significantly successful photo posts on Facebook and Instagram with that kind of format. Like the photo versus the truth is in the bio. Okay, like it's in the post. And like people relate to that. Like they'll post their selfie and be like Magic Kingdom. Meanwhile, one kid has peed down mom's leg before they even got to the park. So it will help you convert your followers into clients faster because again, we talk about that trust aspect. They need to know you to trust you. And then you'll become known in your niche for whatever you do. Like I didn't have to talk to SJ to know that like a lot of her videos are like the third person kind of B-roll where she's in it and she's like speaking over it. I knew that from her content. Jen, beautiful B-roll, great voiceover. Like you people come to your videos because they like that format and style, and that's why when we have a successful video we try to repeat that format and style even though the information in it is a little different. So the connection piece in the beginning might look like a short story in your Instagram of you like saying hi, happy Monday. Valerie will talk about you like is doing a mug series kind of deal. Her first like face to camera exposure could literally be her doing a boomerang of her mug each morning. Like it makes sense. A 10-second little hi, like this is what I'm going to talk about this week. A selfie with your trip, a picture of your family with your trip. You don't do it because you feel ready to do it, guys. If you wait till you feel ready, you're never going to be ready. You do it because you're willing to learn, and confidence will come after the courage to put yourself out there and not the other way around. So you are in charge of your you are in charge of your social media and you decide what stays and what goes. And so we're going to circle back to Jen and I being cool with a little bit of confrontation. We are fine with poking the bear. We are like okay to respond to like the hate comments and being like, hey, thanks for helping my algorithm and make them mad. Like, you know, we're cool with that. I personally, for me, that's not I'm not a confrontational person. Like, unless I love you and somebody's like coming at you, like I will go toe to toe. But like in my standard life, I am very like passive, let things roll off, like, you know, kind of person. But I was fat on the internet and then I thinned out a bit. And there were people who only loved me because I was fat on the internet and felt like I was a turncoat for losing weight, even though it was for my health. There were people who were like, you lost weight too fast. There were people who were like, it's about time you lost weight. And then they followed me. Like, these aren't necessarily people I love, but like, it taught me that nobody was going to be 100% happy. Like, I was very transparent about my weight loss, knowing that people were going to come for me because that's what people do. Because it's the internet, they hide behind a screen. And so for me, I'm fine with being confrontational because, quite frankly, like, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings at this point. People have commented on like the things I hated about myself, and I had to learn how to process that. And that came with years of experience and growth. It doesn't happen all at once. And so, like Jen was talking about how Jen is the person, probably should have let go Sally Sir Talks a Lot, who really was just dumping comment after comment about like, this is why locals can't have nice things. How dare you say that? SJ may not appear like it on her social media. There's SJ. SJ, you want to tell them what you told us earlier?
Yeah, so okay, there's also a reason that I didn't share behind that. So I have certain words like try to call me fat, try to call me ugly on my social media. Comment cannot be posted, okay? On certain social media platforms, I have words blocked. One, mental health, and two, I used to be really not nice, and I can be really not nice, okay? Like they don't want me to be confrontational because I'll make them like cry. Like they'll need extra therapy. So I don't want to put myself in that position. I know myself. I don't want to be that person, okay? But I can be if I need to be. And so really just filtering things for me is what works for me. So I don't do the whole rage bait. Um, it's a personal preference. Our agency owner loves rage bait, and she's always like, "Come on, SJ," and I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I can't." So that's just a personal preference for me.
So, and like, I want to go to the opposite side of that. So, Ryan also is not a rage baiter. Okay. And Ryan is for a different reason. Will Ryan go toe to toe when she needs to over things? Yes. Ryan is more confrontational in person than she can be on the internet. For some reason, the internet like comments really hurt her and like screw with her. And there's nothing wrong with that. So she's very SJ in the sense of like she's not going to post things to intentionally like trigger the dogs at her, but not because she's going to rip their head off. Okay. SJ is going to get herself banned from Disney World. Ryan is going to go cry with a tub of ice cream. Okay. And so this comes back to like learning yourself and what you're willing to do and like where you're willing to go. So we obviously just told you we have different opinions on positive and negative engagement here. And across the four of us, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, it's time to get really vulnerable with us. And I'm actually going to stop screen sharing because I feel like it is important to talk to you all about this. What actually scares you? Like, I want to hear from you where you're not feeling confident. Like, is it the actual creation? Is it not knowing what to post? Is it fear for how people are going to react? Do you feel silly? Like, I want to hear on there. All right, Bree said vulnerability. Bree, expand on that. Like, where do you feel vulnerable? Are you afraid they're going to attack your looks, your family, what you're doing for work? Like, the whole nine.
I think it's just a combination of everything. I think I know that I'm good at what I do, and I tend to take it personal or get really sensitive if somebody implies that maybe I'm not. And so I think it's really hard for me to go face to camera just because what if I am wrong? Or what if somebody does say something because I missed an email or an update or something, you know?
Yes, yes, I do. Thank you for sharing that. You guys will see me taking notes. I'm not putting your name with the notes. I'm writing notes on like how we feel and where we're at because that's going to help those of us who are the mentors of the mastermind. One, with who we're bringing in to teach you, uh, but two, also to bring you posts and trainings and encouragement that's actually going to connect with you. So I don't want you to think, Bree, that I am like over here like typing your life stories into the phone with Bree Heath on it and gonna post it. Jen, can you read Jessica's while I finish typing Bree's because my ADHD is ADHDing?
It says, it's not being confident in myself enough, motivating myself enough to make it. Look at myself and my flaws, and I get upset with my own shortcomings and what I need to do and I don't have my glasses on, I'm sorry.
You're
Uh,
good. And what content or things people will even connect with. Not being confident in yourself.
I'm gonna
Motivate myself enough to make it. Look at myself and my flaws and get upset with my own shortcomings. What do you feel are your shortcomings, Jess? Can I ask you that? Like, where do you feel like you are not enough to like post the video about? I don't actually know your main market, Jess. I'm sorry.
So like
But
I get really besides myself about like with trying to make TikToks or trying to make Instagram is like, am I even making something that's worth it? Like, am I saying something that's already just been said? Like, is it outdated? Is it something that people want to hear? Is it like, am I good enough to do this? Like, I get really hung up on myself financially. What am I putting towards this? Or like, what am like that kind of shortcomings, or getting hung up on what I'm saying or typing, or I get like hung
I
up where I'm
think
trying to make the content and I'm recording the same video over and over and over again, and I can't seem to get it out right because I'm trying to be something I'm not, like at the same time. Like that's kind of what I struggle with.
so. I think that's fair, especially when you were like starting to like get out there. You want to be valuable and you want to be heard and you want to be appreciated. And so it's very easy to scroll down the rabbit hole that's TikTok or Instagram for any of the destinations and be like, well, people don't want to hear what I have to say because they've already got so much. They haven't heard it from you. And so there actually was a travel agent that used to copy my Disney videos and like give her opinions on like the same things I was giving opinions on. And at first, that upset me so bad. I was like, come on. Because it was literally to a T. If I was talking about strollers at Disney, her next video was talking about strollers at Disney. And it was like going against everything I said, like in every one of these videos. And truly, I think she was trying to rage bait me because I had like good engagement at that point and she didn't. And so like I had to work through that. But one of the things I want you all to remember is even if it's been said before, it hasn't been said by you. Or maybe your opinion on something changes. I'm getting ready to do Space 220 again. In my first video of Space 220, I ripped that place apart. Like to the point Disney had the agency ask me to take it down because it had like a million views of me like saying how terrible it was. Just so you know, I didn't take it down for that reason. Um this was years ago though. This was during the 50th, guys. I'd probably take it down if they told me to now cuz I'm a little afraid of them. But uh so like the thing you have to remember is you want them to connect with you. And so when you're posting, even if it's been said before, again, it hasn't been said by you. So, like, that's the first thing and first step that you need to remember with that. SJ, I don't know if you're in a position to talk at all, but I would love it if you
I
talked
can.
about like feeling the need to be correct because I feel like
Yeah.
it does stop a lot of us.
Yeah. So, like, especially with a larger platform, and honestly, I have a need to be correct. I have that same fear of somebody's going to call me out of my shit, and like I want it to be right. Um, it's a hard thing to do when you talk about Disney, and even just like I do a lot of Orlando focused content as well because things change so often. So, sometimes in the back of my head I could have, okay, oh, I can make this great video. Well, it's only valid, it's not evergreen, it's only valid and it's only correct for, 30 days or a certain season, or who knows what Disney's going to do next year. And so sometimes I can get into my head about that. So if it is something like that, I try to have that disclaimer, like maybe like in text on the video, like it's valid for these dates, like just that extra reassurance. And like a lot of people aren't thinking about that at all, but that doesn't keep me from thinking about it. So whatever I can do to proactively assure myself. That way, I'm not just thinking about it all the time. Like, we want to be using the most of our time. Our time is our money. So, if I can take that worry away from myself in some way, whether it's disclaimer on the video verbally, whether it's me saying, hey, today is April I was gonna say April 1st. That was a bad choice. Today's May 1st, okay? And right now Disney is doing this, running these promotions through these days. I always just like am scared kind of also that, someone's gonna be like, oh, this isn't correct. So I do certain things like that and put things into place where just for my own confidence, it kind of helps me.
I think that like what she said is so important. She like mentally tricks herself into it'll be fine by putting the disclaimer.
Right?
Okay?
Right?
Like it literally changes her viewpoint. Like, all right, well, if they come for me and are like, that's wrong, that
I'll
doesn't
worry
exist.
about it then.
Yes, she's can be like, it's in the caption. Can you read?
Right? Loser.
Like, you know? So Camille said, sometimes I want to post certain things, but I am worried it could have consequences at my full-time job. So I get into my head and don't post anything. So Camille, the first thing I want to ask you is, does your job have a contract? If it has a contract, does it have a social media policy?
Yes, my job has a contract. I don't remember reading anything explicitly about social media, but I work so just so you guys are aware, I work as a academic and college counselor at a private school. And so I think, what we post on social media is under
Free game.
scrutiny.
Yes.
And so like even though I don't put my last name, I don't put where I work, I don't create content well, I work from home, so I do create content in my house, but I don't do it during work hours, that kind of thing. But I still think that like sometimes I've just thought about posting certain things or whatever, and it's like I don't know, I end up getting in my head about what I can. And I guess I need to also disclaimer that I'm talking about social media posting in general because, I'm posting travel, but I'm also posting about motherhood and all other kinds of things, right? And so like sometimes what ends up happening is like I don't post my travel content because I'm in my head about posting some other video that I want to post, but I'm afraid to post. And I'm like, oh, if it goes viral and it gets back to, my job. And so I sort of get like in my head about it. So I guess that's kind of I don't know. It's something that I need to like work on, I guess. It's like it doesn't mean that I can't post any content just because I'm worried about this one thing.
I have a follow-up question on that. And I just want to understand, is there anything specific? Is it about like, oh, you schedule a post at 2 p.m., but you're actually technically working? What is it that your work would have a problem with
Oh
when
no,
it comes to
it's more like the actual content. So like if I was to post something that like a parent, for example, found
Mhm.
offensive, or if it's like my opinion, but it's something that like it's kind of just goes back to those like school politics nonsense.
Right,
We're all parents, I think, here, so like you're probably familiar. Like school politics is
yeah,
is a thing, and so a parent will screenshot something that you post on social media and bring it to your boss or whatever, and then it becomes
right.
like a whole thing. And so I just get in my head about it, and again, it's I need to I'm glad that you guys are doing this because it's helping me to focus more on like, okay, just because I can't do that one idea that I really want to do and I'm afraid about it doesn't mean I can't post my Disney content or my travel content or whatever. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's an ADHD thing or it's just me, but I
I
get
think
caught
it
up on
is.
these
Yeah.
stupid, yeah.
There was a time in my life where I also, okay, so as you know, I run multiple businesses. I have my travel business for myself. I have the ownership side now. I have Pedal and Pen Business Solutions, which does an umbrella of things, but also handles this mastermind. I have something called the Book Besties Adventure Club now, which is all like about influencing and hosted trips, which I make money on the hosted trips, but more the influencer side of things with books and reading community. And we just got our first spot with Book Besties, where I can't tell you what conference it's for, but we're going to a book conference. Me and Ryan hired as social media, like hired, not like as the influencers, but hired as social media to do like videos, pictures, the whole nine. They're paying for our flights, they're paying for our hotel, they're paying for our tickets in, and they're paying us hourly. Like, it's our first fully paid convention, not just influencer thing. So I'm feeling a lot about pressure about that, but that's a completely different topic. So like, if I am stalling on posting something on Book Besties because I'm like, about it, it will prevent me from posting in my travel business too. Like, I understand that on such a level. So I feel like it definitely could be an ADHD thing. 100%. Now, I want to ask you a question, and if you are not comfortable, you do not have to do this. But as we talked about, SJ came from a very like sales driven place. Jen has worked the sides of business with like sea sales, the whole 9 yards. Would you feel better if, when you were like on the fence about a video, if you sent it to us or posted it in the mastermind group and you were like, do we think there's an odd for kickback off of this? Because there have been times, I don't have to worry about that because this is my job, but there have been times where I have been like, is this too much? Like, is this going to backfire? And like, the way we got on the topic today of like confidence was SJ was like, guys, I'm going to post a little bit of a controversial video. Okay. And it's about not liking the new Disney promo. Like, it's not going to like hurt her. But like, in that sense, we all have an anxiety of like, what's the reaction going to be to this? But from a professional standpoint, if you're like, I need you to look at this like as the parents or as the students or as the administration kind of deal, because unfortunately I'm very familiar with school politics, especially with like having a special needs child, like he's in what's called a hybrid program where he's in gen ed and special ed services. That leaves a lot of room for me to be in the politics because I got to know like both sides and everything going on and all that good stuff. So if it would make you feel better to be like, y'all, what do you think about this? Even if it's just to me, SJ, Jen, and Ryan, like, you don't have to post it in the big group if you're like scared of somebody in there like screenshotting or whatever. I genuinely don't think in this group we would have anybody, even if they were offended, do that. But if it would make you feel better and help you keep moving, then like, do that. Like, we will, when we like get the chance to watch it, we will feedback on it. But even like for me, that ADHD, it kind of like breaks it and I can move on to the next thing, knowing I'm waiting for feedback on it, and like soon I'll be able to like post it or go back to the drawing board. But it kind of like gives me the permission to move on.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that actually would help a lot because, like you said, it's at least I posted it somewhere, right? Even if it's just to like a private group chat, and then
Yes.
like I can be like, okay, I did that. Let me move on to the next task. Yeah, I think that would help. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Okay, Jillian says, I think for me, it's finding the time to record me talking or go live where a million things aren't going on. I used to go live a lot 7 years ago and post more videos of me babbling, and I phased it out because I couldn't find the time. And a lot of people who personally know me were like, oh, you're on social media a lot. I have a story for you in a minute about this. I had to unfollow you. I also feel like I need a list of topics to go off about. Like, what are people wanting to hear? What can I say versus shouldn't, especially live? Jen said, this is why she batches content. If she don't, she would not, if she didn't, she wouldn't be able to get her content out regularly. Jillian, do you have ADHD?
Can I overshare just a little bit?
Oh, I have generalized anxiety disorder and PTSD though, which I know aligns with the ADHD.
Yes, yes, it does. Let Jen share for a second, and then we'll come back.
So most of my content I make with B-roll, and then I batch my content when I'm still in bed in the morning.
Yep. Yep. No,
I'm like
I batch
literally,
it all the time. And I think it's like, and I have like the B-roll and like I'll do voiceovers. And I feel like that's where I feel comfortable. But then there's also part of me like in the back of my head where I'm like, if I'm not necessarily like in the video, and even though like I'll post pictures of myself, like, are they still getting the same like message of getting to know me as it like as when I would like go live in my like Facebook groups and be like, hi guys, I'm live for like the next 20 minutes. Let's talk Disney or let's talk Universal, and like random people would hop on. But then I'm also kind of like in that headspace of if somebody asks a question, where's that like line of me saying, well, that's something that I reserve for clients versus
okay, I'm right there myself.
something that I can say out. And I don't want to be giving away the goods when, if that's what they want, then they really should be utilizing my services.
I have a comment. I have a probably controversial take on that, Jen. If you want to say yours and then I'll say mine.
Oh no, I'm just saying I struggle. Like I'm right there struggling with that right now with one client in particular.
I think that then this is might be a little controversial, but I think that whenever you're opening up yourself on social media, and especially with going live and like, hey, quote with me, Q&A with me, you kind of obviously, you don't owe anyone anything, but you kind of do owe them that if that's what you're going to be doing. I'm not saying to give them everything, but if they're asking a question and you're doing a Q&A, like you've opened yourself up to that. I'm not saying that you have to, but I just think that here's the thing, they're not going to actually, how much of that information are they actually going to retain? You know? So like you might give them, all this great information. They're going to take two things. They're still going to need you. Okay. So I think if you can try to worry less about that, just know they're not retaining all that information. You're not giving away all the goods because they, they're not in that kind of setting. Sorry, I'm with my kids. In that kind of setting, it's not like they're sitting there taking notes. Okay.
The
So
other thing I want to say, I think what SJ's saying is fantastic. And like, I do align with it greatly, but this is also a chance for you to sell your services while you're on the live. So by answering their questions, so if they ask you like about when do you book your lightning lane, or like what's your opinion on what lightning lane to do first or whatever, because we know that's a hot topic. That's a question that like everybody's going to hit you with. um give them the answer, like tell them honestly your perspective, and then say, but for each family it's really different. It depends who's in your travel party. It depends, where you're staying for when you can book it, like are you on or off site, like all that kind of stuff. And be like, when I work with my clients, or my clients typically say, and then put that in there. That builds trust, and it builds like the professionalism with you. Like they know you're helping clients with this, and it makes them like pivot back to like, this isn't some random lady on the internet. She's got clients. She does this. And so when I started like putting myself out there, I used to go live a lot on TikTok. I feel like you know that. I don't anymore. I just don't have time right now. But when I would go live on TikTok, I got quite a few people that became my clients by saying, like, but I just had clients that went to Magic Kingdom and we had to pivot their whole plan because of the crowds that day. Like, and like it was like a mass crowd anomaly type deal. And so, like, you can answer and be the expert and still have them see that, like, I've got more to say about this, but I don't know you because you're not my client. Like, so I can't give you the best advice I could give you if you were my client.
Emily, are
Um,
we really just the same person or did you see my comment? Yeah, we're just the same person. I literally typed that.
I love you so much.
SJ and I are peas in a pod, guys.
I have to add in booked clients because some people think, and I have one very challenging person right now I'm dealing with, just because you gave them a quote, just because you work for hours on quotes for them, that they're now your client and they're going to pick your brain for your expertise. Like I have people wanting to get on Zoom calls, but they don't want to book until March.
That is a booked client service.
That is a booked client service. Are you ready to place your deposit?
100%. Because there is an aspect of protecting your time with it too, which is something that like sometimes like that's where the line is. It's different if they're like commenting on a post later. Like if you post, you know, your TikTok video and they comment, "Do you have advice on resorts?" And like there's nothing about resorts in your video. Sometimes I'll make a reply video that's like a little blip and then I'll do like the full, but like for my clients that I'm actively booking right now or my booked clients, like we based it off of where they wanted to spend the most park time, like what made sense for them. Some of them we have to base it off their budget, and then we talk about how to best utilize what they can within their budget. Like you can always answer and be helpful, but leave curiosity on the table. And I think that's like, I have ADHD and I'm an oversharer, obviously. So, like, sometimes I personally struggle with this and I have to remind myself, like, Emily, it can't be a 15-minute reply video. Okay. Like, you got to pick your main points here. What's your strongest sells, girl? And then, like, I'll go back and I'll fix it.
I'm a people pleaser, so I want to like, no matter who you are. If I see you at the grocery store and I'm wearing a Disney shirt and they ask about Disney World, I'm like, all right, we're gonna go through it all here. Because in my mind, I'm like, it's not hurting me, it's not costing me anything, but yes, it is. I'm giving them like my knowledge, and then they're going to book on their own. Like,
I was gonna say that so well, I just closed one of my many quotes from last week. Yay, got a deposit, exciting. But I wanted to mention that I took what you guys were saying, like Emily, SJ, even Marcy, you guys were all kind of chiming in, and I've been trying to do a lot better job of actually like qualifying them before I go ahead and spend the time putting together the formal quote in Traveljoy. And even though I can quote very quickly, I still would rather like spend the extra couple minutes. And it actually is helping. Like I spoke to 3 different people over the weekend and I gave them general pricing, not exact pricing and things like that. And it was so helpful because I'm like, instead of just going immediately to the quote, I was like, listen, like your budget might not be realistic. Here's why. And I just gave them like general numbers and stuff like that. And like that was so helpful because now they know. And if they do decide that they have the budget that they need to take 10 people to Disney, hence it's not $4,000, then yeah, they wanted to take 10 people to Disney for all 4 parks for 6 to 7 days for $4,000. Like that was one of the messages I got this weekend. And I was like, that's not even going to cover park tickets. We're going to have a very realistic conversation because every single kid in their party was actually over the age of 10, except for 2. They had a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and then everybody else was like teenagers, like 10 and above. So I used what you guys were talking about, and like I know you guys are all shaking your head, but I think sometimes people genuinely don't know because she responded in a positive way. She was like, "So do you think we really need more like $8,000 to $10,000?" And I was like, "Yes, that's a more realistic budget. And also, if you want to go, you should take advantage of this 6-day, the free park day promo thing that's going on because you're not going to be able to go for that price any other time." So like that was just like the conversation we had. So I think it is about having more like Jen, you were saying, like I want to just give all my Disney knowledge, but instead I need to like qualify. Are we working together? Is it realistic for us to work together? Like spend that time on the front end so that I can do less time like with stuff that takes up a lot of time.
some people who want quotes, they're maybe curious. They're just curious as to what it would cost. They have no real intention, or like my client who wants to plan like a $12,000 vacation. And because she keeps telling me I have been planning a $12,000 vacation, thinks I should give her, like, make her a priority, but she's not a booked customer. Like, I can't, you're not a priority to me. You're not like,
My personal favorite is when they like tell me they're waiting till income tax to book, and I'm like, availability is going to change a lot between now and then, y'all. You got a 3-day hold. That's what you got if I quote you right now. 3 days. Can you realistically give me $200 in the next 3 days? If not, like, let's get you to a point where, like, I know what you want. Like, we keep in touch. I touch base with you. You tell me when you're ready to book, and then I will get you the quote. Here's a realistic number of what we're probably going to be looking at. Because, like, that's what you can do at that point. Because I'll be damned if I quote the same person who's going to use their income tax 4 times. Because in my first year, in January, February, like after COVID had released and everybody wanted to do last minute because park was at capacity and all that stuff, it was like the plague still. I quoted somebody 4 times for the same vacation because every option they liked kept selling out before their income tax came in. So I learned that the hard way. So do as we say, not as we did. Okay? Like 100%. 100%. Jillian, we talked about your one-on-one earlier when we were having a meeting of the minds of like the mastermind mentors. And I didn't even mention that to them, that I loved the fact that Jillian is like hardcore. We're getting on a call. Like, we're going to chat for 30 minutes. We're going to get everything ironed out. I'm going to set the expectations. I am the professional. Here's what you can expect. Here we go. Because like that is like her hard qualify, and I love that. Like, and not everybody does the phone call hard qualified. I get it. I am anti phone calls, which I know is an unpopular opinion. I would rather hop on a Zoom with somebody than call them on the phone. I don't know why this gives me such anxiety, but like I would rather look at them face to face. Face to face. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about right now, or anything they want me to put on the list about like things that are causing them insecurity, discomfort with their post, anything like that? Our plan is the mentors of the mastermind are meeting weekly to go over like the workrooms and all that good stuff. And so we really want to start to make sure we're tailoring everything specifically to where our group's at right now. Which I feel like this training has went really well. I feel like you guys came with a lot of good feedback, a lot of like, you were here to participate and like do the things. And we always appreciate when you come in like that and you're honest and vulnerable with us. And we can be that way with you too. Like I said, I quoted the income tax people 4 times. Like, we've all made mistakes, we've all made blunders, but we're here to learn from each other. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us about where you're at, because it's going to help us help you down the road.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jen, do you have anything to add?
sorry, I'm spacing. I am replying to a client.
You're fine. You're fine. I was rapping. So if you don't, you're fine. Look at Jen's cute little girl. Everybody,
come here. Look at, show everybody your princess, your princess makeup today. Well, not her makeup, here.
Look at you, sweet girl.
You did it with her little stickers.
Very proud. Very proud. She's just like Aunt Emily. That's where I started. All right, guys. Well, that's all for today. We are going to, so we've been updating the links in the master list. That is actually the next thing I'm working on today. This training is going to go up before some of our other trainings. So we've had to kind of go in. The cloud was a bit wonky with the way we were recording before. And so it was like putting like extra time in our Zoom rooms where like it was like blue screen Zoom. And so we've had to like trim down the videos. Ryan was like, when did you have a 3.5 hour training? I was like, I didn't. I can promise you I didn't. Hour and a half, sure. 3 hour, no way. Um, so we are working on those. We think we got it fixed. We tested it a couple times now. So this one's going to go up right away, and like those other ones, we are working on getting fixed and up to you through the YouTube replays instead of through the cloud, since the cloud was rude. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.